If Mercury is entering territory it hates and Venus is entering territory that it loves, what does that mean for you and I as we navigate the territory of this week's astrology? That's what we're covering today on Magic Monday. My name is Comet and welcome to Just Your Magic Monday, particularly your Magic Monday astrological forecast for the week of November 6th to November 12th, 2023, where we are discussing, just as we do every single week here in my cosmic corner of the internet with a cosmic beverage in hand, how the planetary shifts and transits and ingresses will manifest here on planet Earth within your reality. And furthermore, how you can leverage these cosmic shifts in order to live your life with maximum magic and alignment. And as I highlighted, a lot of the cosmos is shifted and changing and rearranging. And when that occurs, we can expect elements of our life to shift and change and rearrange as well. Do you like to start with the good news or the bad news? Are you a good news first kind of person or a bad news first kind of person? I personally am the latter, so that you have something to look forward to. So let's start with the bad news, the part of this week's astrology that's a little sticky. Okay, we're gonna want to watch our mouth, and I mean that quite literally, because Mercury, the planet of communication, is entering the territory of its detriment, Sagittarius. Now, I love this placement. When we talk about planets that are in their fall or in their detriment, it doesn't mean that if you have this placement that you are cursed or that it's a bad thing. It just means that there's not an affinity between the two planets, because Mercury is about the facts and the figures, what is logical. It's about communication. And when Mercury enters Sagittarius, sometimes there's not so much that back and forth flow that communication typically embodies, because Sagittarius is an archetype that is associated with the truth. And with Mercury in Sagittarius, we're going to want to tell the truth. I'm just saying, Haley Comet, this sounds great. Its opening aspect is a square to Saturn, so we might be a little too honest. We might be a little too blunt. Somebody could be too honest and too blunt with you around telling you something, and it's a little bit like, ooh, ouch. Because the energetic of Sagittarius, it's the archetype of the preacher, right? Of the professor, of somebody who kind of stands on a pedestal and like tells you what's what. And with the energy of Sagittarius, it's about finding our own personal truth. And sometimes when we find our own personal truth, we're not necessarily interested in hearing what other people's truth is. And with Mercury in Sagittarius, there absolutely can be that energy around being on a soapbox and being like, la 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 la, I can't hear you, and accidentally hurting people's feelings by being a little too blunt. And perhaps with the square to Saturn, some consequences coming in. However, we do have a planetary shift that is going to make life a little bit more delicious, a little bit more lovely, and that is Venus, the planet of love and beauty and leisure, entering territory that she adores, Libra. So Venus is actually shifting from the sign that she doesn't like being in, she doesn't enjoy being in Virgo, there's not affinity between those two energies, to territory where she's like settling into her home turf. Venus is right at home, and when Venus is in home, we're in the mood to enjoy life. We're in the mood to enjoy other people's company. We're in the mood for harmony. We're in the mood for beauty. It just feels like Venus is just releasing this amazing exhale, and she's like, ah, my home turf. Very much like the sensation of sliding into a hot tub. Like that's what it kind of feels like with Venus sliding into her home turf. It's just like, ah, now it could be the Venus-y Venus that ever Venused, right? That's the vibe. Because Venus likes to feel good. So now that Venus is feeling good, we can find we're more inclined to be proactive about the search and the curation of beauty and of beautiful moments with beautiful people. We're just in the mood to enjoy life. There's like a reminder coming in this week, even though we're still in the depths of Scorpio season, this reminder around life is meant to be enjoyed. Like with Venus and Virgo, there could have been an energy around it's not in the budget to enjoy my life, or I shouldn't enjoy my life. There's so many tasks to be done. With Venus in Libra, it's just this reminder that we do need balance within our experience. So if you've been in the mode where it's like all work and no play, Venus entering Libra is like, okay, let's balance our life. If it's been all solitude and no socialization, Venus in Libra can be the energy around, okay, I need to nurture the connections within my life. And even though Mercury in Sagittarius most certainly has its blind spots, it is this energy around wanting to be positive. We are wanting to be positive. We're wanting to invite more spontaneity and adventure into our world. Now, some of our adventures work out better than others, and there might be some disappointments or some canceled plans or, like I said, some harsh feedback. But again, life is meant to be enjoyed. And that means being able to pick yourself back up after the inconveniences, after the feedback that comes in that's a little ouch, after that adventure that goes awry. It's important that we just dust ourselves off and keep adventuring, keep finding and curating those beautiful moments. So we will talk about the beautiful moments and the challenging moments that are in store with this week's astrology. Before we do, I would love to hear, what are you sipping on to start your week? I'm gonna keep it so real with you guys in the spirit of Mercury in Sagittarius and its honesty. I have like my aesthetic drink that gets to be on the coaster and on the camera, and then I have my secret coffee that is below. I truly could not decide, which I also feel like is very Venus and Libra. Libra is the energy of the scales, and I truly could not decide which direction that I wanted to go in. So I was like, why not both? So now that the cat's out of the bag, there is a secret drink that is being consumed underneath. But today's featured drink that's aesthetic enough to make it to the table is this Brew Doctor. It's the love kind. It has lavender, chamomile, and jasmine green tea. I just felt like the love variety was appropriate with Venus entering Libra, and Libra's all about love. Here's Sloth Cam. I've drank this brand of kombucha before, and every time I'm at the store now, I want to buy it because the sloth is so cute and it always speaks to me. So cheers, my love. Let me know what you are sipping on. Do you have two beverages as well? Sometimes it's hard to pick, and I'll be so real. I think Venus and Libra can make us a little bit more drawn to things for the aesthetic of it, and just this label just always speaks to me. I mean, I do like the kombucha, but the sloth, the flowers, love, like it just did something to me. I just wanted to have it next to me with my secret caffeine need below. So anyways, let me know what you are sipping on, and let's go ahead and take it into Vibe Check of the Week. So what is Vibe Check of the Week, you may ask, if this is your first time to my channel. By the way, hello, welcome. So Vibe Check of the Week is a segment that we do here in Magic Monday where we compare all of the astrological energies that we are navigating this week. We have Mercury trine Neptune, Venus trine Pluto, the ingresses that I shared earlier, Mercury square Saturn. We essentially compare all of those energies to a real life scenario so that you can begin to tune in to some of the themes, some of the essences that may come up as you navigate your universe. So this week's astrology feels like the following scenario. Let's say you have plans with a friend and you need a fun night, okay? You have been working your tail off. Your life has been all work and no play, all work and no fun, all worry and no enjoyment, right? And you are just so ready to spend some quality time to catch up, and the day of, you get a text from your friend and you assume it's just going to be collaborating on what time you guys want to get there, maybe asking what it is that you're going to be wearing so you guys can kind of match the vibe. Like I said, with Venus entering Libra, Venus being the planet of beauty, entering Libra, we're definitely going to be more dialed into the aesthetics of things, the beauty of things. I just want to give you that heads up. And that's not what the text message says at all, though. What it says is, hey girl, actually my boyfriend now has the night off. I thought he was going to be working, so I thought it'd be so fun if he came with us. And this might just be an introvert thing. I would actually love to know below on how you would respond in this situation, because for me, as an introvert, if now the plan shifts from like hanging out with my friend to all of a sudden other people being there, it's just a different energy, and it just requires a different mental preparation. And she kind of sprung this on you a couple hours to go, but you decide, you know, Mercury's entering Sagittarius, you're like, you know what, I need to be spontaneous. When's the last time we did a double date? Let me see if my partner's free. They are. Amazing. Double date, bam. But of course, her boyfriend doesn't like your guys' favorite restaurant, so now the restaurant shifts, and you're really trying to be positive. You're really trying to not let this dull your mood. You're like, okay, you've got to be social. You've got to get out there. It'll be good to meet your friend's boyfriend, or at least get to know him more, because they just have recently started dating. You've only met him in passing. So you're trying to be positive. You're giving yourself a pep talk as you're getting ready. You're like, this is going to be fun. We're going to be open to the spontaneity. Okay, this is a new restaurant. It's not my favorite place, but it's fine. We're going to connect. We're going to enjoy. I'm going to balance out all of this time that I've been spending inside on the computer with finally a fun night. This is going to be so fun. This is going to be so fun. But the problem is it wasn't so fun. Spoiler alert, it wasn't so fun. Turns out, upon getting to know this boyfriend of hers more that you don't know that much, is that this does not seem to be a very upstanding individual for your friend. He comes to this restaurant in sweats. He refuses to order anything besides water, but when you order calamari for yourself because you want calamari and then you go to the bathroom, you come back and all the calamari is gone and he is licking his fingertips. And when you're eating your pasta, he's like, hey, can I snag some? And you're like, I'm not your girlfriend. But of course, your friend is just googly-eyed over this individual. Keep in mind, Venus, the planet of love, is still separating from Neptune. It trines Pluto this week. It enters Libra. There's a romantic, harmonious vibe in the air. And when you're in that honeymoon stage, you're not seeing that you're dating somebody who is eating other people's calamari and eating their pasta, and you want to take some for work tomorrow, but you're just trying to stay positive. You're trying to stay positive. You're trying to make conversation, but this individual is just rude, very condescending, very underdressed. Makes it very clear that they intend to participate nothing towards the bill because they didn't order anything, even though they ate most of your pasta and for some reason grabbed some of the pasta noodles with their hands. You were just like, you're really not enjoying yourself and you're bummed because this was a night that was supposed to be fun. You were supposed to spend time with your friend. And so finally the bill is paid. Of course, your friend's boyfriend contributes nothing to the bill as you anticipated, even though now you have no pasta as leftovers. And your friend's like, hey, do you want to go to the bathroom? And you know that the trip to the bathroom is a sacred ritual. Maybe it's not the same for other people, but I just know with me and my friends, if someone's like, do you want to go to the bathroom? It's rarely just about literally going to the bathroom. It's like, let's gab for a second, or like, let's fix our lip gloss and talk about how this double date is going. So you're like, sure. So you guys go to the bathroom and she's like, yeah, I'm so glad you get to know him. None of my other friends like him and my mom has a lot negative to say about him, but it's so good that you guys got along so well and that you guys were like splitting pasta together. You're so sweet. And you just cannot hold back. Like with Mercury entering Sagittarius, you're really wanting to speak your truth. And you're like, girl, this guy is not it. I know you don't see it right now, but this individual is not it. Like there's a reason why all of your friends are telling you this and your mom's telling you this. And now I'm telling you this. I'm telling you this because I love you. I want you to be happy. I see how you look at him. I see how badly you want to be in this relationship, but I just don't think this is your person. Like he was eating pasta with his hands and you can't help yourself. You go a little off. You go a little off. But she kind of like opened the floor for conversation and she just snaps, because that's another part of this week's astrology, is that with Mars opposite Uranus, there can be explosive, random fits of anger. And you realize, like, as she is having this temper tantrum, she actually leaves the bathroom and goes through the restaurant just like knocking cups off of the table because she's so upset. She's so upset by this, and it just turns into this explosive thing that you did not intend. You were just speaking your truth. But again, it just turned into this fit, this temper tantrum that your friend had as she walked through the restaurant. And you acknowledge that it's deeper than just what she heard from you. Like, this is because in her vantage point, she feels like everybody is against her happiness, that no one wants her to be happy, when you're just speaking your truth about what it is that you have seen during this dinner. And probably so are her friends and so is her mom, but you're just the final, essentially, straw. So she unleashes her anger at you. It's never appropriate to do that. But again, it's like more explosive of a tantrum than just what your words have conveyed, because it's been built upon person who's been saying this. And from her vantage point, her truth, her soapbox, she's like, I want to be happy. This person makes me happy. What's everybody on about? So what, he eats pasta with his hands and didn't pay a dime to eat half of your pasta and refused to go to the restaurant that we wanted to go to and crash girls' night because you guys can't be away for longer than a day. It's just so important this week to understand that truth is subjective. And that's the thing with Mercury and Sagittarius, it can be very hard to consider other people's perspectives. Now, the reason Mercury is in its detriment in Sagittarius is because it rules Gemini, right? And Gemini is the twins. It's being able to carry, okay, that's your perspective, this is mine. With Mercury and Sagittarius, there could be this energy around, well, this is my truth and this must be your truth. And I'm gonna be on this soapbox and telling you that. Keep in mind your criticisms were valid. And I do think a lot of times the truth can set you free, which is why I think it's incredibly appropriate that the sign of the quest for the truth is a sign that is associated with freedom, Sagittarius, right? I do think sometimes we do need to be honest, right? Like your friend had given you this floor to say how it is that you felt. You spoke your truth, which you have a right to. But it was not received particularly well. There were some consequences, Mercury scoring Saturn, and maybe an explosive outburst with Mars opposite Uranus. Now, we will not all be on a double date from hell this week, thank goodness, but just some overall themes that I want you to look out for within your world. A call to want to beautify and enjoy your life. That's Venus entering Libra, Mercury trine Neptune, Venus trine Pluto. There is this call around life is meant to be enjoyed. Why just, watch a movie when I get home when I could watch a movie and light a candle and put on my fuzzy pajama set and make a nice cup of tea? Like this call to just really want to relish in the enjoyment around why would I just go home after work when I can spend quality time with a friend? Why would we just watch a movie when we can light a candle and make nice cups of tea and put on our fuzzy pajama sets and things of that nature? Just a call to want to romanticize, beautify, and enjoy our existence. Another theme to look out for is you being a little too honest, a little too blunt, or other people being a little too honest or too blunt with you. Harsh feedback, harsh criticism, foot in mouth can be another theme that comes up this week around, oopsie, I should not have said that. That was a little too much. I didn't mean to go off on your boyfriend in the bathroom for eating pasta with his hands. My bad on that. And also Mars opposite Uranus can be explosive fits of anger, perhaps misdirected. There can be an energy around wanting to rebel, wanting to do something different within our world, as well as accident energy. So we will be diving into this much more in depth in a day-by-day analysis. I want to just firstly say that all times that I mention are PST, so please adjust to your time zone for wherever it is that you are located within the world. I also have timestamps available below so that you can jump to a particular day, jump back to a particular day, and make sure to click the gear icon if you do want to speed me up or slow me down. You can adjust your playback speed from there to align with how it is that you process information. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into Monday, November 6th. So happy Monday, and happy Magic Monday at that. And I do mean Magic Monday. Even though the moon is void until it enters hardworking, diligent Virgo at 11:39, then going on to oppose Saturn, which is reminding us of all of our obligations and all of our restrictions. Even though all of that is absolutely part of the architecture of Monday's astrology, we have this nudge to not just do the tasks, but romanticize the tasks. Because with the Virgo moon answering to Mercury, who trines Neptune on Monday, there is this opportunity that I want you to reach for around reminding yourself of your why, particularly as it relates to the daily activities of your world. Like it might just be a workout class, or it's an opportunity to worship at the temple of your physical body, to chisel your own potential, to show yourself love. It could just be a meeting, or it could be an opportunity to get together with your colleagues to envision and brainstorm your new project. It might just be some mundane tasks you have to do for work, but maybe you're able to listen to a podcast or listen to music that you love. It's taking things that might be mundane, the mechanics of life, and finding opportunities to infuse it with a little loveliness, with a little meaning, with a little otherworldliness with Mercury trining Neptune. And I'll be forthright, even though we have all that hardworking energy of the Virgo moon opposing Saturn, which actually could be a kick around, oh, I gotta do all the things. Be a little gentle with yourself, because the thing about Mercury trine Neptune is that we can be a little bit at our work desk, but mostly in la la land. Is really the vibe with Monday's astrology, is that with Mercury trine Neptune, we can be deep in our own fantasies, deep in our own thoughts, deep within wanting to find meaning within our experience. And with Mercury trining Neptune on Monday, I want you to be open to ask for a sign and to be open to investigate with Mercury and Scorpio for that deeper layer meaning. Like again, maybe something didn't work out, but being able to reach for that energy of Mercury trine Neptune around, it must have not been meant to be. Maybe a friend changes plans on you and you're like, okay, it must have, for the grand scope of things, it must have not been aligned with my highest purpose. Maybe you didn't get a job that you really liked, but you see 444 right after you get the news and you feel that solace around, no, the universe has got my back. Something else so much more aligned is coming in. It just feels like with Mercury and Scorpio trining Neptune, we're looking for, and honestly, we're finding higher level meaning within what it is that we are seeing on Monday. And listen, Mercury is in Scorpio, and this can be a very cynical placement at times. The situations that we encounter, this bears repeating just with today's moon opposing Saturn and this Friday's Mercury squaring Saturn. It feels important to let you know, as if you don't already know this, life is annoying sometimes. Life is so annoying sometimes. Sometimes you finally have a night off to do something fun and it turns into a double date from hell and you spending way too much money for pasta that was honestly subpar that your friend's weird boyfriend ate most of. So annoying, right? Sometimes you're just headed out the door to go to the pumpkin patch and it starts raining. And now you can no longer go. Sometimes you've been working so hard in a project and a senior level associate asks you something that was obviously on page 2. Like sometimes things are annoying and we cannot change the situation. How I see it is that the situation is like a picture, right? And you can't change the picture. The picture is the picture. All you can control is the frame in which you put the picture in. All we can control is how it is that we frame situations. So if some bad news comes in, right, or something less than ideal occurs, particularly earlier in the week where it's like, oh dang, I worked really hard on this and this associate didn't even reach to page 2. You get to frame it. You get to frame that experience. You can either frame it around life is the worst and I freaking hate it, or you can frame it around the universe is teaching me patience right now. If you get bad news that you were not expecting, whether it's today or really all this week, Mercury squared Saturn does tend to be kind of a bad news sort of transit, you get to frame that experience. And again, it's not me sitting here on this like positive Pollyanna vibe because Mercury is entering Sagittarius and it's important to know, yes, Sagittarius is optimistic, but it's a sign of truth, right? It comes after Scorpio. It's like after we know the darkness, we can really reach for and go towards the light. And after you've known darkness within your world, you are so much more intentional around curating and looking for the good and looking for the light. And so it's not me coming here around if something horrible happens this week, you need to frame it around, but it's all good because the universe has my back. I just want you to reach for that if there is an inconvenience around, okay, I didn't get this job that I really wanted, but maybe the universe is setting me up for something better. Because I think sometimes how it is that we frame the situation can just provide us a little bit of solace and a little bit of peace. And truthfully, I am somebody who does believe the universe has your back. And with Mercury trine Neptune, seriously, ask for a sign. Ask for a sign. Universe will speak to you if you ask for a sign around, show me I'm on the right track. Right? So maybe you didn't get that job you really wanted, but right after you see 444. Or you go to that workout class that you really don't want to go to because you're in such a bad mood, but the instructor has the same name as someone dear to you and it just makes you feel comforted within that moment. Like looking for those little clues and reasons to tell your brain everything is working out for me. Even with the inconveniences, it is working out for me. This was sort of baked into the vibe check around that energy around this isn't ideal, but at least I get to spend time with my friend. Right? Romanticizing and reaching for the good, or maybe something magical will happen to us at this new restaurant that we are going to that's outside of our norm, right? Maybe it'll be an opportunity for me to start this amazing friendship with her partner, right? Reaching for that when it is available. Now, I also want to talk about the shadow side of this aspect. I also baked this into the vibe check around your friend's state of mind. Because again, she's kind of in la la land, okay? When she looks at this man's, she doesn't see the pasta with the hands. Because that's the thing, when you are falling in love, you do not see, okay? And Neptune is that rose-colored glasses energy. And Mercury isn't necessarily a planet that has to do with love, but it does have to do with our perspective. What it is that we focus on and what it is that we blur into the background. And your friend, when she looks at this person, she's romanticizing all of the beautiful parts of this individual. She sees him eating the pasta with his hands as something that is very raw and very real and very beautiful. And that's how she's framed the experience. You would maybe frame it a little bit differently. But Mercury trine Neptune can be this energy around romanticizing and tuning into the most beautiful parts of what it is that we want to hone in on, while allowing the rest to kind of fade into the background, which, like I said, a lot of life is annoying. So whatever it is that you can do to give yourself that energy to tune in on what is going well right now, what am I grateful for right now, that is helpful to tune into, to look for those excuses and those reasons. My life is going well. I am supported. There is higher meaning. But it can also be an energy at times with Mercury trine Neptune where we could be, deluding ourselves a little bit. Perhaps your friend is deluding themselves a little bit at that dinner table. But again, it's her picture and she can frame it how she wants. It's her life, okay? It's important to remind ourselves with Mercury and Sagittarius, it's everybody's own agency to be free, to live their own life, to follow their own truth, even if it's not the truth that you personally resonate with, eating pasta without cutlery. I want to say, to a very mundane level, just with Mercury trine Neptune, great day for prayer, for meditation, even for like channeled writing. It's a great day if you do have some flexibility within your schedule to kind of like follow what it is that you feel inspired to do. With Mercury trine Neptune, it can be great to envision what it is that you want. Sometimes that can be so helpful to reach for when there are snafus, when there are inconveniences, when there are things going wrong, right? Because I do want to highlight Mercury is separating from Uranus, opposing Uranus. Sometimes there can be snafus. There was something that went wrong over the weekend at your job, and now you're having to pick up the pieces for that. But again, with Mercury trine Neptune, whether it's a connection to a higher power that gives you some solace or some plans that you're looking forward to, or romanticizing it, even like saying, oh, this will be such a funny story to tell one day, whatever the frame that helps you cope on Monday, that's what you're going to reach for. And even though the Virgo moon opposing Saturn is trying to get us to get to work, honestly, with Mercury trine Neptune, we can find we're a little bit in fantasy land, we're a little bit more dreamy, a little bit more in our head, envisioning what it is that we want or what it is that we are looking forward to. Again, Neptune is a wave, and we're kind of just moving through these waves around inspiration and muse. So it's great if you do have some flexibility within your work schedule to kind of like follow what is catching your fancy or what you are inspired to do. And since this aspect occurs at 5:37 p.m. in the evening time, definitely a great evening to get lost within a book, to get lost within a movie, right? The call of Neptune is that we want to escape, we want to transcend into a different world. So again, maybe that's something that's kind of helping you cope, getting through the tasks and getting through the obligations and getting through the snafus and the inconveniences around, as soon as I get home, I'm going to get lost in this album, or I'm going to make this delicious meal. Like there just is this call where we're wanting to get lost into a different world, which can make our tasks a little bit more challenging to constantly pull our mind back around. Nope, we're not fantasizing about a crush right now. We are doing proposals. Also on Monday in the morning time at 6:38 a.m., we have Venus in Virgo trine Pluto in Capricorn. And overall, this is a deepening of what it is that we love, of what it is that we value. And it's a call for intimacy, to want to be seen within all of our beauty, but also within all of our flaws too, because they are bound to come up within the process of connecting. And again, how you frame that experience of being at the dinner table on that double date from hell, you saw that as not very classy behavior, eating pasta with hands, but within your friend's mind's eye, she saw that as a very intimate moment. Like, wow, look, my partner feels so comfortable around me that they're allowing themselves to really be seen, allow their inner crevices of themselves to be seen. It's Scorpio season after all. We're looking for real deep intimacy, real deep connection. And so with Venus trining Pluto, there's also this reminder around the regenerative quality of Venus, because Venus is love, beauty, and money, and these are not finite resources within your world. If you are somebody where you are going through it, maybe you had a breakup recently or you're feeling very alone within your experience, I want you to know that the quality of love, the heart space, is regenerative. You will and you can love again. And the heart is something that is powerful and that is able to be resilient. And of course, being gentle within this process, but understand, even if you've been hurt deeply, you will regenerate. You will be able to love in a capacity that is so pure and so sweet, because I do believe that is the highest vibration of Venus in Virgo, even though it's in its fall. And so it's just understanding that the heart is a regenerative quality, and the love that you have given, even if it was given to somebody who's not in the capacity to receive it or to give it back, that is a regenerative quality. It's not that we only have a finite amount of love that we have to extend. It is infinite within this experience. And Venus trine Pluto is that whisper, perhaps for some of you, that reminder, that moment when you're starting to feel like, okay, maybe I will heal. Maybe I will fall in love again. Maybe it is possible for someone to see the inner crevices of my being and love me anyway, because it absolutely is. And you might be saying, Haley, Comet, okay, maybe love is not finite, but Venus governs money, and that's something that's finite. With Venus trine Pluto, it's a reminder that you can always earn more money. If you are someone where you've been stuck in a guilt trip around, oh, I can't believe I spent money on that project that didn't work out, or oh, I can't believe I got scammed, or oh, I can't believe I took that day off and then all my coworkers said that their tips were so good and I lost out on that income. Like, if you are sitting within that guilt vibration, Venus trine Pluto reminds you, like, you can always make more money. You can't get that time back. You can't get the time back that you spent in guilt around, oh, I should have done that. I should have taken that project, or oh, I shouldn't have fallen for that. You can't get that time back. And things suck sometimes, okay? We have the moon opposite Saturn on Monday. We have Mercury squaring Saturn. Things are annoying. Things don't work out. But with Venus trine Pluto, it's reminding you, you can always earn more money. And I think just to a larger extent, with Venus entering Virgo and the sun in Scorpio, it's a reminder, like, we really can't take it with us in terms of the belongings that we accumulate. Like, Scorpio is about what it is that we can take with us, right? Our intellectual property of our memories, as well as our legacy. That's really all that we are able to take with us when we transition to the other side. Sorry to get morbid, but we are still in Scorpio season, right? And so with Venus trine Pluto, it's sort of this check-in point around, are you carving time and space to enjoy your life while you are alive? Are you allowing your value system to lead the way? Are you allowing yourself to be a balance of not just accumulation and working and hustling and doing what capitalism wants you to do, but also those experiences that provide that amount of depth? That's all what Venus trine Pluto asks for. Now, I'm not saying that you need to spend a bunch of money, spend all of your money or anything of that nature, or quit your job necessarily, but with Venus trine Pluto, it's asking you, just with Venus getting ready to ingress into Libra, it's like, how balanced is my life? How much of what it is that I'm spending my time and my energy towards is things that I truly value? And am I bucketing enough time towards the things that make me feel truly alive, the things that make me feel truly transcendent? And am I guilting myself around making a poor financial mistake or not being in a great financial state currently? I want you to know, things can change at any moment. Remember that. That could be something that can feel very scary, because it's like, oh my gosh, the beautiful things that are in my life right now, they could be taken away. But it also can be, if you're not in a great situation, whether it's financially or romantically or what have you, the trine to Pluto reminds you things can transform. You can be in an entirely different place within a year, financially, romantically. When we consider the last facet of Venus that I talked about, which is beauty, beauty is also something that is regenerative. If you've been really hard on yourself with Venus and Virgo about your beauty or about aging, you know, Saturn stationed direct over the weekend, so sometimes that can create energy around, whoo, this time is going by, I am aging, I don't feel as beautiful, or things of nature. I want you to know that beauty is something that is regenerative. And you might be saying, Haley, Comet, no, people peak when they're at this age and it's all downhill from there. My love, that is simply not the case. And I don't mean this in like a Hallmark card sort of way. This is honestly the truth of how it is that I see this experience. There's so many beautiful souls at so many different ages when they're just existing within their own shine. That's what beauty is. It's like releasing this very cookie cutter interpretation around beauty are these youth factors, and embracing that our beauty, maybe it will shift and evolve as the years go by. But I like to think of it with the trine to Pluto in Capricorn as this, ripening, right? Like you're a fine wine. Okay. So please cancel those messages if they are occurring within you, because again, you won't have the same sort of beauty. It will evolve as the years go by, as the time goes by, and not fearing that process, because I want you to know aging is a blessing. It is a blessing to have the privilege to grow old on this planet, on this harsh planet sometimes. And maybe the nudge is whether it's redefining or regenerating your view of beauty, maybe it's redefining or regenerating your sense of style, maybe trying something new. I mean, you have a nice long void moon in the morning to do it. So we have the Leo moon squaring Mercury that happened late Sunday night, and that's the closing aspect. The moon is void until 11:39 a.m. So if you watch Magic Monday, you know when the moon is void, hopefully you commented below or said aloud, important tasks we must avoid. So I would strive to avoid anything too terribly important in the morning time, because again, the closing aspect was the square to Mercury, so there could be miscommunications, and then the moon will enter Virgo and oppose Saturn. So like I said, there might be inconveniences. There might be some pictures that aren't so pretty within your reality, but again, you get to pick the frame. So frame what comes up in the best framing possible, and one that gives you a sense of peace and of solace. So on Tuesday, November 7th, it's a very productive day, and it's a particular brand of productivity where you are staying connected to your higher purpose or to your why. And we see this because the moon's in Virgo, answering to Mercury, who is trining Neptune, talked about that yesterday, and the Virgo moon applies to trine Jupiter in the morning time, around 7:43 a.m. PST. These are both, when we talk about Jupiter and Neptune, these are the higher vibration planets where, yes, Virgo moon is asking us to attend to the emails and the to-dos and the tasks, but there's this energy that we have at our disposal to reach for the why that we do it, because it's easy to get bogged down within the emails and the meetings and the tasks and the errands. It's easy to get bogged down in all of that we forget to just appreciate and really cherish the magic of the moment, or the magic of what it is that we are building. Like, for example, if you work at a nonprofit, a lot of times it can feel like your job is just answering emails, but this is sort of a day to remind yourself, wow, we are having this sort of impact on this planet. There's just this energy around with the Virgo moon. Yes, it's little tasks. They can feel inconsequential. It just feels like silly little emails and silly little meetings, but there's this energy available around, no, it's for something so much bigger. And it reminds me of this story that my professor would always tell us, and truthfully, I have not fact-checked it, so I don't know if this is the truth. But the story goes that JFK was visiting the NASA offices, and there was a janitor there who was sweeping with a broom after hours. And so JFK went up to introduce himself, and he asked, what are you doing here? It's after hours. And the janitor said, Mr. President, I'm putting a man on the moon. This astrology reminds us that the little efforts that we make that can feel inconsequential, they do have a bigger aim. You can think of janitorial work as just sweeping, or you can think of it as something that is helping the organization flow and bringing joy to the lives of the people who walk through these halls and supporting this organization in meeting this new milestone. How it is that you frame your experience is important, because you can see it as just sweeping, or you can see it as part of something so much bigger. And maybe for you, you're like, Haley Comet, I'm not exactly at an organization where I feel very passionate about the why. Contemplate the bigger picture that you are building within your world. Maybe this is a temporary job, but keeping in mind, this is something that's supporting my acting career. This is something that is helping support my family, and that's something that's so important to me. It's remembering that essentially why that we do it, and taking pride in our work to a certain degree. With the moon in Virgo, it feels good to do a good job. And it's just remembering to have gratitude for the people that you get the opportunity to help and to serve, whether that is on a minor level or on a major level, remembering the effects that your small contributions can have. And it's just this energy around letting go of this myth that we need to be CEOs and super famous to leave some sort of huge impact. I mean, certainly that visibility does lend itself to that, but it's also understanding how it is that you do anything is how it is that you do everything. So really like showing up today, showing up to be able to ease the suffering of others, to be able to help people, to be able to add more efficiency towards other people's lives. Whatever the context, whatever your line of work, I guarantee if you really sit with it, there is some larger why or some sort of meaning that you want to supercharge your efforts and your actions with. Even if it's on such a minor scale. Like for me, a moment that really profoundly impacted me, even though it looked very mundane to a surface level, was a couple years ago. I want to say it was probably 2019. I was a yoga instructor and I taught a 7:45 a.m. class every Thursday, and then I had like a 2.5-hour break before I taught another yoga class in another part of San Diego. So it didn't really make sense for me to go home because they were relatively near one another. So I started creating this new routine where I'd go to this donut shop that was nearby, because like on a yoga instructor salary, I couldn't be justifying like getting like a $7 latte. And I found this donut shop where I could get my favorite food in the world, this sprinkled donut, and a cup of coffee for $2.15. And it was like my Thursday indulgence. And I would go to this donut shop and I would like work on little projects or what have you. And it was always the same gentleman who was working there. And it was just such a lovely part of my routine. And the gentleman who worked there every Thursday, he and I did not speak the same language, but kindness really doesn't have a language. Like it was smiles, it was pointing to donuts. A lot of times he'd like throw in an extra donut or donut holes or what have you. And it was just lovely little interactions. And it was just such a anchoring part of my week, is that no matter what was going on, I know on Thursday I would walk in and this gentleman would be working and I would eat my coffee and I would enjoy it at my little table. And then I would go off to my yoga class. And I remember one Thursday he was coughing quite a bit and I felt so sad. And I remembered, because my boyfriend was super sick at this time as well, I remembered that I had some cough drops within my bag. So I went over and I like slid them over to him. And so he got better. Like the next Thursday that I went there, he wasn't coughing any longer, but my boyfriend was getting much, much worse. And the following Thursday, I was just in such a frenzied, anxious state. Like it was honestly so hard for me to even teach because my boyfriend was just getting worse and worse and worse every single day, and no one could figure out what was going on with him. So then on that Thursday in the donut shop was when I got the call that he was being admitted into the hospital and that something was like really, really wrong. And so I know this is dramatic. Okay, I'm a Pisces. I just like burst into tears. Like I hadn't even eaten my donut yet. And I was just like so scared and so sad and so anxious. And I'll just never forget the guy who ran the donut shop. Like he came over to me and he sat down on my table and he just like slid over tissues just so that I had like slid over cough drops. And he just kind of like sat with me for a little bit as I was crying. Cause like I said, there was a language barrier. So we couldn't really verbalize what was going on. But I think in that moment, he just wanted me to know that he was there. So sweet. But I think a lot of times kindness doesn't have a language. And I think a lot of times, yes, one person could just be like, well, you just own a donut shop. What's this big impact that you can make? But that was one person who made me feel not alone in a time that I felt so scared and so sad. And I still think about that all the time. Whenever there's something that makes me kind of like lose faith within humanity, I just think of our little interactions, and it just gives me a sensation of peace and solace that there is kindness and goodness within the world. And if you are somebody where you're like, all these things are going on, I don't know how I could possibly make an impact or make a difference. Like you just never know whose life you are impacting, whether you work at a nonprofit and you're raising money for all of these amazing causes, or whether you're serving donuts, there's still an opportunity to essentially make people feel seen, make people feel less alone, make people smile, whatever it is. We just don't know what people are moving through. And so whether it's within your family, within your community, within your work, what have you, show up with a why, or just show up with that energy of presence, or just that energy around wanting to make people smile, or wanting to ease other people's suffering, or wanting to be a bright spot in what people are moving through. Like you just truly don't know. And with the Virgo moon sextiling the Scorpio sun later in Tuesday, it's sort of like the echo in that, like you don't know the personal hell that people are walking through within these brief interactions in which you get to see them within your orbit. And so striving whenever possible to leave that positive impact, to allow your actions, maybe it's just serving a donut or just sending an email, but remember that bigger level why, that big picture that you're building, that vision for humanity that you believe in. And so also on Tuesday, I do want to share that Venus is at the anaretic degree. So do avoid, reckless spending or reckless indulging, okay, with Venus at the anaretic degree. I don't really think Venus in Virgo is going to let you get away with a lot, but there always is an energy of urgency supercharged when a planet is hanging out at 29 degrees, so I thought I would extend that. I have to be honest, a third drink has entered the chat. I now have a cherry blossom LaCroix in addition to my kombucha and my coffee. Okay, I heard Venus is entering Libra this week and I'm like, life is meant to be enjoyed. And life is meant to be enjoyed with 3 beverages in tow for my every women fancy, apparently. But anyways, let's talk about the astrology of Wednesday, November 8th. So at 1:30 a.m., Venus, the planet of love, beauty, and leisure, enters Libra. And as I highlighted earlier, we are wanting to enjoy life. We are wanting to enjoy connection. And connection is why we are here. Again, there's inconveniences, there's annoyances. I was crying at the donut shop, okay? I was crying at the donut shop. But connection, just a human sitting there, just like holding space, made that bad news so much more bearable, right? And with Venus in Libra, it's asking you, how have you been balancing the working and the hustling and the efforting with the true connection, like taking time and space to enjoy life with enjoyable individuals? If you have been in a little bit of a hermit era, I will say the moon is in its waning crescent phase. So don't pressure yourself to like get out on the town if you don't want to. You can just always call up a friend or engage in online communities or wherever it is that you find connection. Venus in Libra asks you to really celebrate that. And Venus in Libra does crave balance and harmony. So there can be an energy around heightened negotiation or compromise or cooperation coming into your experience. And this was sort of baked into the vibe check around, obviously, on a double date. Like this does turn up the romance factor within our lives quite a bit with Venus in Libra. But it's also this energy around wanting to get along, wanting harmony. That's why you're like, okay, not my ideal restaurant to go to. I want to go to our favorite spot, but I don't want to rock the boat. I want everyone to have a good time, which sometimes can be to our own detriment. Like Venus may not be in its detriment, but can be to our detriment to brush a little bit too much under the rug. Like I think the ask here with both Venus and Mars in position of rulership, Venus in Libra, Mars in Scorpio respectively, the ask is to really be intentional around when it is important for us to advocate and to assert, and when it is important for us to just choose peace and just let it go. Like both of these planets are operating really strong right now. So it asks you to really decipher, where is it that I need to advocate and assert? Like, no, I don't want to go to that restaurant. Or where is it just best to keep the peace? It's not about the cuisine, it's about the company, whatever, I'll let this one go. It's important which essentially battles we wage this week and always really with Mars opposite Uranus, okay? And let me say this, the flirty undertones with Venus and Libra dial up quite a bit. Okay, you can find that you're more in touch with your charm, with your charisma. You could be flirting like you breathe right now with Venus in Libra, just wanting to have sweet, pleasurable interactions with others, wanting to curate moments of sweetness or environments of beauty or connections and some harmony. Like there's just this energy with Venus in Libra in which we are prioritizing connection, harmony, and, flirting a little bit more. So your challenge is to interact with life without accidentally making anyone fall in love with you, okay? Because that is a constant challenge for Libra placements. They flirt like they breathe, honestly. Quite a bit. That charm could be lethal. Because I know Mars is how it is that we get what we want. Mars in Scorpio is very strategic, but Venus is how we attract. So with Venus in Libra, we're wanting to like attract what it is that we want with sweetness, with charm, with charisma. And with Venus in its rulership, you can find that that's a little bit more seamless. So again, the ask is, am I going to use my Mars and be very active and pursue this? Or am I going to use my Venus and just attract the circumstances, attract the people to me? Like both are operating pretty strongly. So you have to kind of make your decision there. But certainly with the planet of pleasure and territory it likes, we're in the mood to enjoy life. And also on Wednesday, we have Mercury sextile Pluto. Pluto is a very deep planet, but it's a very transformative planet. And with it sextiling an opportunity aspect to Mercury, there's an opportunity to transform our awareness or transform, again, how it is that we frame situations. And yes, Mercury and Scorpio aspecting Pluto and Capricorn, our mind can be in kind of a darker place. The sextile to Pluto can ask us to transmute or even rework, reinvent how it is that we are framing or seeing certain arenas of our life. Like I think with Mercury sextile Pluto, if you think about the concept of change, that could be something that feels so scary, right? To understand, hey, there's things that are part of your current reality that are going to change. That could put you in a very fearful state. And I feel for some of us, just with Venus exiting Virgo this week and with Mercury exiting Scorpio this week, I say this because both Virgo and Scorpio tend to be a very worrywart energy around preparing and expecting the worst. And I just feel that some of us have been in this state around waiting for the other shoe to drop, or waiting for the sweetness or what it is that we've built within our world, waiting for it to be taken away or for us to ruin it in some way, and just being scared to savor it. And I just feel like with Venus entering Libra and Mercury entering Sagittarius, it doesn't take away the bad things in the world, right? But there's almost this permission that we're allowing ourselves around. It's safe for me to enjoy this season. It's safe for me to enjoy this chapter. With Mercury sextile Pluto, there might be this acknowledgement around life is transforming and I'm transforming right along with it. Around me, the seasons are changing, allegedly. I'm in San Diego, so things are pretty constant here. But allegedly, leaves are meant to like change and then fall or something. I don't know. Rumor on the street. I can't relate. It was 82 today. 82 in November. Anyways, with Mercury sextile Pluto, it's that reminder around things are changing and change is the only constant. So I need to make peace with that constant that was with my world. And rather than not giving myself permission to live because I'm so scared that's going to get taken away, I'm going to acknowledge this very well might get taken away. So I'm going to really savor this season while I'm in it. Like if I even think about that season I was just chatting with you about, where I was teaching all of these yoga classes, driving all around San Diego for minimum wage, having to like wait long hours in random parts of San Diego. All I could really afford was coffee and donuts because I was on a yoga instructor's salary trying to make it work. And obviously that season of my life was not ideal. But there was a Thursday that I walked into that donut shop. I got my donut, I sipped my coffee. It was like any other day. And little did I know that was the last Thursday I would go to that donut shop. That was the last Thursday that I would teach a yoga class, because you don't need me to remind you, okay? But it was March 2020 and that door shut for me. From that point onward, I never taught yoga again. I never went to that donut shop again because I really am not in that sector of San Diego very often, although I should go say hi, honestly, and go get a donut. But I say that not to scare you around, oh my gosh, one day this will be the last time I go to work, or this will be the last time I see Margaret when I go get my latte, or this will be the last time that I see that dog that's always in the front yard when I run by it every single day. Like these little parts of our daily reality that we tend to think are static and consistent and will always be the same. Life is changing. We are transforming along with it. And I say that not in a morbid way around everything's going to change. You never know when that's going to be our last donut, but just to savor it, to just really be within that season. Like I said, not an ideal season, but I still think about it every so often. And I love how free I felt in that time of my life. I loved my regulars. I loved those sweet interactions that I had with the donut shop. Like it was such a sweet season of my life that I just savored. And when that season is over, I'm just so grateful that I really enjoyed those donuts and I enjoyed the presence of that individual. I think I'm mentioning this because with the Virgo moon trining Uranus, it's this ask to breathe in a little originality or a little inventiveness as it relates to our routines around, yes, you're just going to work and doing your routine, but there's particular nuances, particular facets, particular nuances of this Wednesday that will differ than the Wednesdays that came before and the Wednesdays that come after. And with Venus entering Libra, like really taking time and space to connect, you will never regret, the time that you just take to be present with somebody else, the time that it takes to be kind to somebody else, the time that it takes to create connections and relationships. Like I said, with Venus trining Pluto, the money can be made back, but the time cannot. So really just ensuring that you are spending time to connect with those that you care about, because all around us, things are shifting. And like with Mercury, Pluto, sometimes our mind can go into a more intense place. But I think to a certain extent, if you understand death, you really seize life to a certain degree, and you really seize it with urgency, which is why we love Scorpios. The other possibility that I want to give you for Mercury sextile Pluto is that this is a very tunnel vision sort of energy. It's available to you on Wednesday. You might still be in the Mercury trine Neptune la la land zone, but if applicable and if accessible, with Mercury sextile Pluto, reach for the energy around tunnel vision, obsession, researching into a topic. This could be very laser focused energy and just paying attention to what it is that you are focused upon. Again, I'm not saying, okay, that every single thought is like good thought, bad thought, but with Mercury in Scorpio sextile Pluto, being mindful of how it is that you are framing situations, and if possible to have a reframe or a reinvention around how it is that you are seeing a particular scenario. That energy may be available to you with Mercury sextile to Pluto. But really great time to deep dive into a project, to get lost in a weird conversation about astrology with a dear friend of yours. Great time to journal, to get down to your own psyche. Great time to, you know, look up your Myers-Briggs, right? Comment below. What's your Myers-Briggs and what's your big three? And do you think there was a connection between the two? So great day to do that. Again, to a surface level, things could look mundane and typical, but I just feel like with the Virgo moon answering to Mercury trining Pluto and then Mercury sextile Pluto, you can see the world as just, I'm just going to work, or you can see all of the moving parts all around you and all of the things that universe is putting into your awareness and putting into your perspective. So choosing the lens by which how you view things and also how you view yourself. I want to say that. I think sometimes Myers-Briggs test and Enneagram, astrology, most certainly, it can really help us in how it is that we frame our own experiences and our own self around, rather than being like, oh, I'm such a mess up. You can just reframe it and really see it around, okay, I'm going through this particular transit, or I have this particular facet of my natal chart. It doesn't excuse the behavior, but it helps me to understand it and to understand that I'm not inherently flawed for being this way. So Wednesday is kind of a great day to get things done. We have a Virgo moon, but it does oppose Neptune. So again, head a little bit in la la land. The Virgo moon also will trine Pluto, sextile Mercury. So kind of bolstering that Mercury sextile Pluto energy within the day. Just with Venus in Libra, there just feels to be a balance around, yes, getting things done, but getting things done with presence. Yes, getting things done, but also connecting with your coworkers. Yes, getting things done, but also deep diving into your Myers-Briggs test during your lunch break, because that helps you understand yourself a little bit more. There definitely is a balance, which is very apt with Venus entering Libra. And so on Wednesday, the moon will be void at 8:55 p.m. Closing aspect is the Virgo moon sextile Mercury in Scorpio. And so I just want to say that, like I said, you know, Virgo and Scorpio, okay, I have both within my chart. I'm not coming for anyone, okay, but I'm just saying this can be a little bit of worrywart energy, okay? And like I said, if possible, transmute the worries that are coming to the surface, okay? With the Virgo moon answering to Mercury sextile Pluto around, okay, why am I worried about this? Is this rational? Is worrying about this going to do any good within this situation? Like, if possible, to kind of get to the core of it there, journal on it, try to understand it, and the moon will be void at 8:55 p.m. And I will say, even though we have Virgo moon sextile Mercury in Scorpio, so you could be kind of reading into things, it's a great day for intimacy, you know, being able to share your worries with someone that you hold dear. And the Libra moon, the moon enters Libra shortly after midnight, it will conjoin Venus at about 2 a.m. on Thursday. So you might feel that on Wednesday, this really lovely energy around wanting to enjoy life, enjoy connection, bask in the pleasures of existence. So reach for that if that's available. So on Thursday, November 9th, the moon enters Libra a little after midnight. And I just want to let you know that we have a Scorpio new moon on Monday, the 13th. And so we are in the waning crescent moon phase, which even though Venus is in Libra, which can be this energy around wanting to connect and harmonize, Don't feel weird if you're craving more time inward. Don't feel weird if you suddenly have this call around wanting to get rid of all the stuff within your home where all of these emotions are coming up. I share this every single month, but if a lot is coming to the surface right before a new moon, that means the forthcoming new moon is going to be more impactful for you. I think it all comes to the surface for us to shut it out for a new start with a new moon. So allowing that, not fearing that, allow it to come to the surface because it can be supporting you for your new start, and it can feel like a grieving. Like it can feel like a grieving of something that you are missing or something that you are letting go or something that you realize is no longer serving you. Allow yourself to sit within that grieving. Like Scorpio is about extremes, right? And that's why I think Scorpio is, it's like, yes, they have access to some of the saddest sads within the human experience, but when you understand the depths of sadness and of anguish and of pain to a certain degree, you can understand the heights of happiness and joy and gratitude. Like I said about death earlier, if you understand death, you understand life. It's contrast, it's extreme. So by no means when I'm saying that we're kind of reframing experiences and shifting into positivity with Mercury and Sagittarius, I'm not saying that means negating all of the negative within your world. I'm saying allow yourself to recognize that this is a season of your life that has a purpose, and allowing yourself to sit within that just in case anything does come to the surface as part of this waning crescent moon phase. And you might be asking, Haley, Comet, don't you typically do a new moon and a full moon forecast for all of the lunations? And to that I say, you are absolutely right. I typically do, and I am not going to do that temporarily, okay? I'm working on a really big project that I'm excited to put out there at the end of November. That's just taking a lot of my brain power, so I'm not able to do the lunation videos, so I apologize about that. So stay tuned because I'm really excited about some things that are building. And so at around 2:23 a.m., the Libra moon will conjoin Venus, so maybe some sweet dreams, okay? But when it comes to Thursday morning, there can be this mood around really wanting to find the beauty and the enjoyment of life around you. Either way, you're going to get from point A to point B. How much you look around is up to you. How much you, quote unquote, stop to sniff the flowers is up to you. How much you look people in the eye and have an honest conversation, even if it's just a brief interaction. Hi, how are you? Just allowing that person to feel seen. Those are things that you have at your disposal. We don't get to pick everything in life, but we do get to pick the presence and the sweetness that we bring with us into these experiences. And then that evening, Mercury will enter Sagittarius. And like I said, this is the sign of Mercury's detriment. And even though it's not comfortable here, it does have some benefits. I just really feel like Mercury entering Sagittarius is like really wanting to have this positive, adventurous mind state where it's like, okay, this is not ideal that my friend is bringing along her boyfriend, like they can't be away for one night, but whatever, I'm game. It'll be an adventure, right? We're going to this new restaurant. It's viewing things in terms of what will the story be? What will I learn? Because some adventures are very pleasant and some adventures are not so pleasant, but nevertheless, there's always a quest and an adventure and a mission, and some are more enjoyable and some are a double date from hell where you pay way too much for mediocre pasta, but an adventure and a story that you will tell nevertheless. Again, the framing is important. Now, with Mercury and Sagittarius, like I said, sometimes we can be a little bit on our soapbox, okay, around feeling that our perspective is the wisest and the most important one to be heard. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of you, I read your comments, okay? A lot of you are very, very wise, philosophical souls, so I'm not invalidating anything that you have to share. Like I said, Mercury and Sagittarians, I could listen to them speak all day. I find that they oftentimes have very, very big ideas, honestly, and oftentimes have a very gregarious or a very larger than life way of expressing themselves, which does make them very great public speakers and things of that nature. But nevertheless, just being conscientious around where it is that you are overly tuned into the big picture at the expense of the details. I don't mean to ruin your day nor your week, but Mercury retrograde is unfortunately on the horizon, okay? Mercury enters its pre-retrograde shadow at the end of the month. And with that being said, Mercury will be retrograde for, in part, Sagittarius, which is a sign of its detriment. So the devil is in the details. And with Mercury and Sagittarius, we're more apt to focus on the big picture of it rather than the small details. So we're more focused, if we're working on a brochure, on the aesthetic of it, especially with Venus and Libra, like the vision of it, the aesthetic of it, and less so fixated upon the typos of it. Like with Mercury and Sagittarius, there can be this energy around constantly looking towards the next adventure or the next thing and sort of having a harder time with focus or with detail work. So just something I want you to be mindful of, especially as we get closer and closer to that Mercury retrograde, because the devil's in the details, okay? So it's not a time that you should be glossing over things or like so focused on the big picture that you forget about the details, okay? The details support the big picture. So yes, charge this Mercury in Sagittarius visionary, idealistic energy, but just be conscious around the logistics of the matter, and also just being conscious that yes, with Mercury in Sagittarius, we're wanting to find our own truth. Right? We're wanting to find a sense of meaning within our experience. That's definitely something that echoes through the astrology overall. But understanding that with Mercury and Sagittarius, we all do have different truths. Like you are being asked to follow the arrow around what makes sense to you or brings you a sense of mental solace, or what you find is valuable, or the ideas that you want to share. And also understanding that your truth is not the only truth. It could differ from other people around you. So just being conscious around not slipping into that very like self-righteous sort of point of view. Remembering that the mind is both a transmitter and a receiver. That's how communication works. So that shifts at 10:25 p.m. on Thursday. And my last note on Thursday is just for the majority of the day, Mercury is at that anorect degree, okay? So just being mindful with Mercury at the anorect degree of Scorpio, that you're not reading into things too much, obsessing, or that you're not spilling secrets, okay? There could be an urgency around communication. So again, double check. I'll keep reminding you that with Mercury now in its detriment, okay? Details can be misconstrued or glossed over, so just something you have to intentionally be focused on. On Friday, the 10th, Mercury in Sagittarius squares off with Saturn in Pisces. This feels like the energetic when you're trying so hard to be positive and everything just goes wrong. Like you were trying so hard to be positive. Like you went over to that restaurant and you're like, okay, this is not the restaurant I want to go to. I just want a night with my friend, and now her boyfriend's there, but whatever. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to see the best in it. And sometimes with the square to Saturn, it's like sometimes things just suck. Like we can try our best to be as positive as possible, and sometimes things are just so frustrating that we just can't help it. We're like, okay, for realsies, your boyfriend was digging in my pasta with his dirty fingernails, and now I'm disgusted. Like, what was up with that? Like, I just wanted one fun night. I've been working so hard. I just wanted to enjoy my life. Like, what the heck? And with Mercury and Sagittarius, seeing it as a story, okay, it will be a funny story one day, if possible, but not denying yourself the opportunity to sit within, this sucks. This is not enjoyable. Like for me, whenever I'm really in a bad mood or having a bad day, I set a timer, and for 5 minutes, I do not allow myself to have one positive thought. I just have the most hateful, vengeful, horrible thoughts possible about how everything is the worst and I'm the worst and it's the worst and just everything's the worst. And it gets laughable because at like 4 minutes 30 you start running out of stuff, and it really is like a catharsis of sorts. You can write it, you can talk it, I just think it. I just set 5 minutes, I'm like, get all this negativity out because you are just not pleasant to deal with right now. Just something to reach for if it is available to you, but it just feels like the energy with Mercury and Sagittarius, it's like, I'm gonna make the best of it, and then the square to Saturn is like, and now the boyfriend that I didn't want here is digging my pasta. Like I really can't make the best of this. And also, like I said, Mercury and Sagittarius can be very blunt, and with the square to Saturn, there could be consequences to that bluntness, right? Foot and mouth syndrome. Something important with Mercury and Sagittarius is that sometimes people just want to vent. A very important phrase to have in your back pocket as you navigate Mercury in Sagittarius, especially when it's retrograde, is, do you want my advice on that, or do you just want to vent? Because sometimes people just want to vent, right? Maybe your friend in the bathroom just want to be like, oh, it's so annoying that my mom doesn't like it, friends don't like them. And you could have just been like, okay, yeah, do you want my advice on it? And she could have been like, no, I'm not in the space to receive it. And you would have been like, okay, all good. As your friend, I do want to tell you the truth, but maybe you're not in the space to receive it right now, clearly from her outburst, which we'll get to that energy. But with Mercury square Saturn, just understanding not everybody necessarily wants advice on a situation. Sometimes people just want to get it out of their system, and it can be so frustrating if you're somebody who's a problem solver, dealing with somebody who's just like telling you about this problem and this issue when you're like, this is how you can fix it. Sometimes people just want to be heard. They just want to feel listened to. They just want to connect with you. They don't want to be preached at or told what to do, because we all have our own experience. We all have our own quest. And we're all arriving to our own personal sense of meaning with Mercury and Sagittarius. So she's on a different quest than you. Like, that's not behavior that you would find acceptable on a date. And yes, it was your pasta that was mauled in such a fashion, but alas, it's not your relationship. And just with Mercury and Sagittarius, it's very, very tempting to want to tell people what we think and our perspective. And with the square to Saturn, there can be consequences in that. Like I said, there can be an energy of bad news or a change of plans, travel plans that go awry, or something where it was meant to be fun, it was meant to be adventurous, and then nothing works out and it's the worst. And this is your day off and you spent too much money, and it's just like in a blah headspace is really the vibe on Friday. And again, it's a bad day. It's not a bad life. Like, I set my timer for 5 minutes of negativity to get it out of my system. We're in the waning crescent moon phase before the Scorpio new moon, which, may I say, I'll talk more in depth about it next week. It's very positive for like radical transformation of your life. I'll say that. And so if you're somebody where you're just so sick of yourself, right? Maybe you want adventures and you just feel blocked from it. Like, I wish I could be doing all these things, but I just can't right now. Maybe I have physical limitations, or maybe I have financial limitations, or emotional limitations, or mental limitations. Maybe this energy around, I want to adventure and feel free and I just can't right now. Like, that can be something that's coming up for you right now, around wanting to be someone who's able to go to new places and not be in your head second guessing yourself, or wanting to be someone who can go up and talk to anyone. Like, there's just this energy where you could be really, really within your own head on Monday. And honestly, with the Libra moon opposing Chiron, there does feel to be this pang of either loneliness or like wishing that you had what other people have, like with the energy of the Libra moon, whether it's like coveting other people's relationships or other people's way with words, or kind of like social graces or things of that nature, just internalizing this energy around, oh, why aren't I like that? Why don't I walk into a party and I know exactly how to move and exactly who to talk to? Why can't I walk into a room and light it up? Why can't I feel comfortable going places on my own without feeling stuck in my own head? Why am I not like these persons? But there's just something that pings at like a raw part of you around, ugh, why am I not like that? And again, it's right before the new moon, so allowing those emotions to come to the surface because you are releasing them. And it's not a bad life, okay? It's just a bad day. Really, with Mercury square Saturn, there could be inconveniences, bad news, just annoyances that are weighing heavy, and you're internalizing it with the moon opposite Chiron around, this is why I'm wrong, this is why I'm bad, of course I didn't get the job, I'm the worst, of course I have no one to talk to at this party, I'm so weird, of course this, of course that, that's just who I am. It's a season of your life. It's so important not to see yourself in the light of your failures. Of course, you have your 5-minute timer, okay? You can see yourself as, this is who I am, this is all that I do, but it's important not to internalize this bad news that you are receiving. It's not saying anything about you as a person. It is not saying anything about your potential and all that you will blossom into. So try not to internalize your current circumstances, okay? It's bad news, it's not a bad life. It's a bad day, it's not a bad life. On Saturday, November 11th, the astrology gets a little explosive. Mars will oppose Uranus on Saturday, and Uranus is unexpected. Uranus governs electricity, and I always think of Mars-Uranus aspects as kind of like short-circuiting. Like, there's just like a lot of energy there, and it can come on unexpectedly and sort of like blow up, right? Like you having that interaction with your friend at the double date around, you just said your truth, there was consequences to it, right? She got angry, and then she had this whole temper tantrum, right? Because it had been building, and it had been building, and it had been building, and then with this opposition to Uranus, just like a lightning bolt of rage moved through her, and she had a reaction. So with that being said, I'm not saying everyone's gonna have a temper tantrum. Again, never appropriate to be having a scene like that at a restaurant. But again, making peace with your rage, making peace with your anger. It's okay to be mad. Like, don't feel like the Venus and Libra energy means you just need to be docile and polite all of the time. Like, Mars is about our rage, and our sacred rage at that. Like, it's okay to be mad about things. Again, that can be fuel. Just be mad about the right things. It as an emotion is not a negative. It just depends on the regulation of it and what you put it into. Because again, when you're mad about something, like there's something happening in the world that just makes you so angry, that can be power to put into creating change with the opposition to Uranus, right? When you are mad about something, it can be that motivation to be the best version of yourself out of this lens around, well, I'll show them. But again, like I always say, it's never about them at the end, but it could be that temporary fuel around just being so mad that someone's underestimating you that you're just like, they'll see. right? And again, also, we've been talking a little bit about people pleasing as of late, and there can be an energy around, no, that's not right. I don't appreciate that you changed our plans, that you couldn't take a night away from your boyfriend. That this actually is something I want to assert and advocate for. All I want to say is that if there have been things that you've been suppressing, okay, you have not been being forthright about what has been bothering you or frustrating you, with the opposition Uranus, it can hit an unexpected target. Like again, I always think of Uranus as electricity and lightning bolts, and lightning bolts, you never know where it's going to strike, right? It's very random. So again, there could be all of this rage of this storm brewing, and it accidentally hits an unintended target where it's like, she loves you. She shouldn't have snapped at you that way. She was just so filled with rage, everyone doubting her and doubting her relationship, that it just so happened that her lightning bolt within that rage hit you. Okay. And again, it's not excusing anybody. Their reactions and their responses to their anger is their job to moderate and to maintain. I just share this with you in case you're noticing that people have shorter fuses on Saturday. You know, if you watch Magic Monday, you know that I strive never to fearmonger. That's not the sort of astrologer that I am, but I do just want to highlight that I would be conscious to be a little safer over the weekend than you would typically. Okay, just be careful with Mars-like things, anything that's sharp, okay, any machinery that you are operating, like this can be accident energy. And like I said, some of those accidents can be verbal, just with Mercury squaring Saturn, right? Like foot and mouth, ooh, I should not have gone on this rant in the bathroom about how your man is the worst. Like, ooh, that was my bad, that was an accident. But it also can represent accidents to a bigger level. Again, no fear whatsoever, just being conscious, just being mindful and just being conscious. And like I said, with Mars opposite Uranus, embracing the flow of the new and the novel into our experience, embracing bucketing our energy and putting our energy towards new and novel endeavors or new ways of moving our body. But again, oppositions emphasize differences. And so with this energy, you can find that your energy feels all over the place. You're having random fits of rage. You're feeling more on edge than you are typically. You could be feeling really drained. Like your energy levels can be feeling very unstable, very erratic, very all over the place. And again, little things can be getting under your skin more so than they typically would. So just tread carefully this weekend in your dealings with others. Like I said, the moon phase before the new moon is typically kind of a great time to come inward anyway. So you have permission, if you are feeling the call over the weekend, to just kind of hone in within your own energy. But again, up levels of Mars opposite Uranus, move your body in a new way, advocate for yourself in a new way, rebel against something that makes you angry within the world. Like put your energy towards creating that change that you want to see within the world is really a great way to leverage this. But just understand, to a personal level, you could be feeling a little bit more tense, a little bit more aggravated, okay? And that aggravation could manifest in external random lightning bolts of anger and rage, which you're going to want to be mindful to moderate. And so to a lunar aspect, it doesn't help because for a large part of the day, the moon's in Scorpio, so answering to that Mars. But the beginning portion of the day, the Libra moon squares Pluto in Capricorn around 7:05 a.m. So there can be some intense emotions that you wake up with, whether it's fear or dread or anxiety or just energy around, oh, the things that you have to do, or just emotions feeling kind of intense. Again, a lot can come to the surface before the new moon on the 13th. And then the moon enters Scorpio, which does have a tendency to bring up extremes of emotions. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that, okay? Our sads create the capacity to feel the deepest of happies. Like the contrast does bring clarity, right? When you understand deep grief, you really, really hold closely to the people with your life. When you understand deep sadness, you really, really strive and seek to find those slivers of happiness when you can find it. Like those contrasts do bring clarity. Those extremes do allow you the capacity to feel on both ends. So just inviting that when possible. And the Scorpio moon trine Saturn in Pisces. So also understanding what it is that you're feeling, not invalidating it, but putting it towards something. Because like I said, with Mars opposite Uranus, maybe it's not appropriate to snap at somebody, but maybe you want to put that energy towards essentially working on a project that you want, or going for a run, or doing something productive that helps you transmute that energy. That's very Scorpionic. It's being able to transmute and transform. Ooh, this made me so angry, but it's going to make an amazing song. Ooh, this made me so angry, but I'm going to raise money for this cause so that no one needs to go through this. Ooh, this makes me so mad how much you underestimate me, but I'm going to pour all this energy into my craft, and you'll see. Like, I think with the Scorpio moon trining Saturn in Pisces, it's asking you to, yes, feel those emotions, but but fundamentally do the things that will help you transmute that emotion. So allow yourself, whether it's 5 minutes or sometimes multiple hours in bed, to cry, to feel, to whatever is coming to the surface. But the Scorpio moon trine Saturn, it asks you, okay, what would make me feel better? Do I need to put this into art? Do I need to call up a friend? Do I need to take a walk? Sometimes these little actions can help us in finding that default or bring us back to a calmer state. So I can feel these emotions, but what will help me regulate them in a more productive way? And it's asking you to transmute that energy. With Mars opposite Uranus, you might be feeling really restless, like finding a hard time to sit still. Put that energy into something. Like I think a lot of times with Scorpio being the Scorpion and having that stinger, because I think oftentimes if that stinger isn't turned outward into transmuting that emotion into a project or into a workout or into intimacy or what have you, that stinger can be turned inward with Scorpio energy and descend into self-destruction or self-sabotage or wallowing or making everything a catastrophe. So take that energy and put it into something, transmute that energy. That's what Scorpio season's all about. And on Sunday, the only aspect of the day is that we have the Scorpio moon opposite Jupiter, which is a reminder of the energy I shared with you earlier around the extremes allow for depth. The contrast brings clarity. And I know that's hard to hear when you are navigating something that's very, very painful and that's making you very, very sad. And listen, it's painful to be a very sensitive person and to feel a lot, to be a big feeler, right? But I do believe really understanding and navigating those depths really makes you search out and look for those heights of experience, of happiness, of joy, of love, of what have you. So I just feel like with moon opposite Jupiter, whether it's good emotions or bad emotions, emotions are big and your emotions can be beautiful, even if they're imperfect. So I think with the Scorpio moon opposite Jupiter in Taurus, allowing your emotions to be big, whether it's those emotions of love and of appreciation and joy and happiness, or I'll be real, over the weekend, it might be some major feelings of dread or of fear or of sadness, what have you. Embrace all of it if possible. Not only are you building for tomorrow's new start, but you're also giving yourself the capacity to live fully and to be alive. Because to feel and to hurt means to be alive, okay? And this experience has many ups and downs. You're alive, you're living, you're loving, you're here, and you can't blame me for speaking like a Hallmark card because now Mercury is in Sagittarius. So my loves, that is our week. The Magic Monday mantra of the week is I intentionally frame my experience. I know I really hammered this point into your head, but I really want you to be intentional around how it is that you frame experiences. I think a huge way that Sagittarius placements cope a lot of times is through humor. And sometimes if it's an inconvenience or if it's an annoyance, sometimes it can be helpful to find something humorous within it, to drive home with your partner after that horrible double date and to chuckle about it around, I cannot believe that man was eating your pasta with his hands. It was so ridiculous. And being able to giggle about it. Again, it's the same picture, it was the same horrendous night, but choosing that frame around, that was bizarre. That was ridiculous. What the heck was that? Again, the season of your life is this season of your life, but you get to choose how it is that you frame this experience, how it is that you savor the season, even if it's not ideal. Understanding that this season one day will be in your rear view mirror. And I'm telling you right now, future you wants you to enjoy this season. Even if you're like, oh, I just can't wait until I'm settled down and I'm married and I'm having children. I'm telling you right now, the future you is looking at this particular era of your life and being like, no, enjoy your freedom. Or if you're someone where your children are very young and you're like, oh, I can't wait until they're out of the house, like your future you is telling you, savor this moment when they're little. Like just knowing that even if it's not ideal, even if it's not a season of your life that you would renew, right? You're like, get me out of this season. There are particular nuances and facets that future you will miss. And maybe if it's even just being able to frame situations around, this will be a funny story to tell within my memoir. This will be a funny story to tell my children one day. This will be funny in the creating of who it is that I am. Like with Mercury and Sagittarius, we are striving to be positive and to put a positive spin on things. And I think Venus in Libra is also saying, hey, slow down, balance out your life. Where are things feeling imbalanced? Remember to connect, right? Remember to have these harmonious, beautiful experiences. Savor that Thursday donut, okay? You never know when this is the final donut of that particular season, and just be intentional how it is that you frame these experiences. So my loves, if you made it to the end of the video, go ahead and comment the pasta. emoji below, or I don't know if anyone's gonna be able to work this in organically, use the word pasta within a sentence so I know that you watched till the end. Instagram handle is @HaleyCometAstrology. My TikTok is the same. I would love to connect with you over there. And until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay